So can we start with what your name is, please?
Hi, my name's James O'Brien.
And James, can I ask what you're doing here today at the Pride and Willia conference?
My son Ashley is 30 years old and he lives with Prader-Willi syndrome. And I'm here today in my role as chair of Prader-Willi Syndrome Australia.
And can I ask that what you hope to bring to the conference today in your role as chair for PWSA Australia?
What I hope the conference will achieve today is for the whole community to work together, which is why we're delighted that the association is putting on the conference along with the Prader-Willi Research Foundation Australia, and all of the wonderful experts and family members and people with PWS all working together to create knowledge resources and to improve the outcomes for people living with PWS.
So James, we know that you've been to many conferences, both here and overseas. In terms of this conference, can you state at this stage if it's brought you something new or something inspirational that you can bring back from this conference that was separated from other conferences you've been to?
I'm particularly pleased with the presentations that were done by people living with Prader-Willi syndrome. So we had 8 people living with the syndrome who presented topics that are important to them. They did such a great professional job, and that we've been coaching them to be able to deliver those talks for the last year and a half. And that to me was a bit of a first. I haven't seen that at a conference before, although I believe it has been tried in Germany at some smaller conferences.
And can I ask, in this particular conference, where to next? What can we take from this conference that will help build from what we've learnt today and this weekend?
In the near future, we hope to incorporate QR coded resources, and I have a QR code on my watch. We want QR coded resources that will enable people with PWS and their families to share film resources. Now, we've had some wonderful presentations today, and we hope that those film resources will be available to educate care providers and health professionals. And so in a way it's a switch from previous written resources over to short film. And I think we've made small steps in that direction today.
That's terrific, James. And you've got a piece of paper in your hand with a word that you've chosen. Could you please show that to the camera and tell us what the word is and what that word means to you today, please?
The word I'm holding is knowledge. And if I can tell you just a short story. When my son was 6 years old, my wife and my daughter and I locked ourselves out of the front door of our house while my son proceeded to destroy the inside of the house. Now at that time, I was sitting up the front thinking, I need to know more about Prader-Willi syndrome. And I've been very fortunate. In some ways I thank my son Ashley for introducing me to such an interesting community. And it's led me to meet people all over the world in all sorts of interesting roles as researchers and health professionals and people with PWS. I've met hundreds of people with PWS, and I've visited over 100 homes where people with PWS live. And it brought back to me, at one stage I even visited the United Nations, and I said, I'm here to talk for people with PWS. And they said, no, you're not. They said, people with PWS can talk through you, but you can't talk for them. And for me that was an invaluable lesson, and so I'm hoping that's what we can do. In the last few years we've been trying to do that. In the next few years we'll be trying to give people with PWS a voice, so that they can speak through us regarding their needs and their dreams and aspirations, so they end up with a better life.
James, can I ask you just finally, how is Ashley doing now? Would you like to share what he's doing in his life?
Well, Ashley is doing very well, thank you, and I hold up this sign that says knowledge, because I've been able to visit over 100 homes across the world, and then another family and I have built an SDA for Ashley and for their daughter. So we've amalgamated the learnings from across the globe, but also realised along the way that each person is an individual and the house needs to be built to suit the individual person's requirements. So Ashley's gone from having to move 6 times in 2 years due to his behaviours of concern and damage to houses into a house that we've built especially for him that is robust and strong and suits his temperament. And we're hoping it'll be a residence for life for Ashley. And there are many aspects of that home that we've built into the fabric. It still looks like an ordinary home, but there are reinforced walls, reinforced windows, reinforced hinges and locks, sprinkler systems, a very complex keying mechanism where he will be able to have more access and more choice and control as his behaviours normalise and as he learns to control his emotions. So there's a lot that's needed in a really good home, and I encourage anyone that's interested in building their own homes to contact me and to talk it through further.
And if they wanted to contact you, James, what would be the best method to do that?
Well, probably the best way to contact me is through info@pws.org.au. So drop an email onto that address, info@pws.org.au, and I'll get the message and I'll give that to you.
Thank you so much for your time, James. I really appreciate it.